get scared that people who are not criminals are getting like lassoed up and deported and sent to like El Salvador prisons.
With a bunch of these Trinidad guys, allegedly they got at least one guy who wasn't a criminal, who was just a gay barber who I think, according to the story, came here legally. He was here legally.
It's funny how this guy has a lot to say about our country. And I'm not usually one of those who says that foreigners can't talk about America or anything like that, but I have a bias towards Constantine Kissen. I'll get to that a little later. But this Anna Kasparian losing her mind over Joe Rogan, who's finally calling out Trump's deportations. I'm calling him out for horrific. Anna Kasparian is going off about this. Anna Kasparian is going to call out Joe Rogan for calling out the obvious. So I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot going on, with just a lot of things, with tariffs, deportations. We're not hearing this. It's been a busy beginning of the year, and so people are trying to make sense of a lot of what's going on. So again, this is Anna Kasparian calling out, annihilating, eviscerating Joe Rogan for finally waking up to the obvious.
That's what they said.
Joe Rogan and Constantine Kissen weighed in on the wrongful deportation of a Venezuelan migrant who was sent to a maximum security prison in El Salvador, with ICE claiming that he was a member of Tren de Aragua. However, it appears that is not the case. In fact, he wasn't even in the United States illegally. He was here legally. He had a legitimate asylum claim. He came in through a port of entry and made that asylum claim. And his name's Andrew Hernandez. He's a gay makeup artist who's been an outspoken critic of Venezuela. And I just feel like it's pretty obvious he's not a Tren de Aragua gang member.
Yeah, they don't even allow gay people into the gang. So among 1,000 reasons why he's not a gang member. So this is what happens when you don't do due process.
Okay, so I don't think that saying that, Cenk, both of them, you see, they don't wake up to their own mistakes. It's like, well, you can look and tell he's not a gang member. You know how many homo thugs are walking around the prisons today? Okay, so calm down, Anna, and calm down, Cenk. So, let's not jump to conclusions based on, judging the book by its cover. You'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised. But apparently there were mistakes made. So, like I said, we'll continue to hear about what's going on. And actually, no, I don't even need to hear. Let's get some of the story, and then we'll go back to Joe Rogan.
Evidence, showing that they're part. Doesn't matter.
Sending him to a hellhole in El Salvador, but overall, the American people would be massively on his side.
Yeah, and look, I want to be 100% clear. Everyone, including individuals who are suspected of being gang members, and there's actual evidence, showing that they're part. Doesn't matter. You need to go through the proper channels. There needs to be due process. There's a reason why due process exists. And if you think it's okay to just throw it away when it comes to individuals who the federal government is simply accusing unilaterally of doing something criminal, well, you're really allowing so much power to be concentrated in the federal government to the point where they can accuse anyone of anything, and you don't get your day in court. There
you go. This is the precedent that I've been trying to say to people that a lot of this stuff is setting. Of course, you can go back and look at my catalog. I am not for a bunch of illegal mass immigration and all of that. What I didn't expect was for people to get rounded up and sent away. Now we're getting different type of parameters coming down the pike about speech laws and things like that. And it does make me feel like, because this is the government, take Trump out of it. I know I still have some Trump supporters that watched these episodes, and shout out to y'all. And thank you to everybody who's watching. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. You have to understand he has a cabinet. He has people around him. I wish, hey, look, a Trump dictatorship on his own, I would sleep like a baby every night. But there's a lot of nefarious people around. Not because he wants them there either. You can't trust everybody. I don't know those people, right? And I just see a lot happening fast. And the problem is, MAGA just wants to say, or not all MAGA, but on Twitter and stuff, they want to say everything is fine. Oh, well, he shouldn't have been here. But it's like, bro, like, and I have like, I'm gonna keep it real, Spanish MAGA telling me like, well, you shouldn't have been here, and I'm like, dog, man, none of it. Like, I'm Haitian, bro. Like, my parents weren't. Like, come on, man, what are we doing? You know, it's not just because Trump administration everything is fully transparent. No, because of the people around him, at least. You know, let's go ahead and get into Joe Rogan and his little friend talking about it.
Knowing that this is what Rogan and Kissen are talking about, let's hear more of what they had to say.
I think a human being being plucked out of nowhere and ending up in a country he's never been in a maximum security prison with gang members, seems like a bad thing to happen to me.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
I don't think that should be controversial.
No, that's not controversial at all. And this is the thing, you know, measured twice, cut once. This is kind of crazy that could be possible. That's horrific. And that's bad for the cause. Like, the cause is, let's get the gang members out. Everybody agrees. But let's not innocent gay hairdressers get lumped up with the gangs. And then, like, how long before that guy can get out? Like, can we figure out how to get him out? Is there any plan in place to alert the authorities that they've made a horrible mistake and correct it?
Well, if you think about it from a government perspective, and this is where I think it gets quite sinister, is once you've done that, the incentive structure is never going to be to admit that and deal with it. The incentive structure is to say nothing, to cover it up, to pretend it didn't happen.
But
right?
that is horrible.
So someone ends up in a black hole. But we've seen it. We've seen it in every country, including in America.
But that's the thing about politics, right? Never admit your fault. Never admit you're wrong.
It's so dumb.
And this is the thing we're seeing with the signal thing, and this is the thing we're seeing with this.
And, you know, there seems to be more frustration with the lack of accountability or the willing.
All right, so before we get to that, you know, like I said, Konstantin Kissen, I just want to kind of talk about the fact I always get them. It's like, my gosh, thank you. I don't like seeing people with their eyes closed. Anyway, Konstantin Kissen, you know, like I said, one of my homies online is, his name is Suleiman Ahmed, and he is the bomb, and he does not live in America. He travels here all the time, like Konstantin does. And, you know, and he loves America and everything. He has amazing takes, right? And I'm not saying Konstantin can't speak for America, but I'm hearing lately Konstantin calling out people like Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens and calling it the woke right. I've already talked about this before on this channel. And what he classifies as the woke right is simply being Christian and aware. And who are you, bro? Like, who are you? Why? What's the problem, right? So, furthermore, he blocked me on Twitter. I really don't care. I never talked to the guy, so I must have threatened him in some fashion by my very existence. So, I just don't like fakers, and there's a lot of that going on.
With the lack of accountability or the willingness to take responsibility for mistakes made. So far, we haven't heard anything from the Trump administration in regard to this specific individual who was sent away. But you should know that we have so far spent about $40 million to send migrants to El Salvador's CICOT. And that's according to the State Department. They apparently did an analysis and provided that analysis to senators. There was a delegation of 5 senators who even visited, I'm sorry, that's for Gitmo. So we've spent $40 million to jail 400 migrants at Guantanamo Bay. So it's not just El Salvador. We're also sending them to Guantanamo Bay. But that has become so expensive that the Trump administration quietly stopped doing that. And they actually sent about half of those 400 migrants back to the United States because of how costly it was.
There you go. And there's shout out to Anna. She finally dropped. I'm not going to say she finally. She's right. That's what's going on. It became too much. I don't hear anybody in MAGA saying this. It's okay to call out the administration. Yes, they brought people back. There's just been a lot going on. Some of the momentum is starting to, I don't want to say die down, but it's reality. This is how it is, ups and downs, right? But there are some people who will not talk about it. And the fact is we have to stay in reality. Because at the end of the day, like I said, government, we're not supposed to trust government 100%. We do not live in a dictatorship. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's like, I don't know what else. You know, if MAGA wants to act like we live in a kingdom, not every MAGA, of course, the people in the Twitters and all of that. But if they want to act like we live in a kingdom, I mean, I guess that'll work for them until it doesn't. We need to start having the real conversations, man. That's all I'm asking for is like the real conversations. What's really going on, bro? But anyway, No sweat though. We're always gonna be okay in the name of God. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.